Hello, everybody. We are joining again for the live conversation because September is coming soon. And in Latvia, there will be Pet Dog Trainers of Europe Annual Conference and AGM. So, welcome, everybody. And it's nice to see you joining us and watching the live recording, if you are watching the live recording. Today, again, I am here with one of the speakers, which will join this year's conference in Latvia. So I will tell a little bit about the conference and what the topic is for us today. So this year's conference big theme is dogs with big emotions. And throughout these live conversations, we will talk with all of the speakers, and we will go through the factors that influences how dogs feel, cope, learn, and behave. And today, we will talk really interesting topic. This is really interesting for me as well. And I have looked into it a lot because living with two dogs, I have seen how their behavior changes based on what they eat, how much they eat, how they feel, how their stomach feels. And this is really important topic to talk about. And I think it's the same for us people as well. Especially for me, I think to many other peoples as well, but because my behavior changes as well based on what I eat, how I eat, how well or not well I eat, and if I'm eating. Yeah. So I think dog is no different in this topic. So that's why today I am joined by Auriane Hurtes from France. She's holistic canine nutrition specialist, and she will talk in this year's conference about the role of species appropriate nutrition in behavioral health. So welcome, Auriane. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Liga. Thank you so much for hosting this and for having me.
Yeah, and maybe you will do better to tell what are you, and maybe some little info about you and your work and how you work daily with dogs and about this nutrition importance to dogs in their daily life.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name's Auriane Hurtes, and like Liga said, I'm a holistic animal nutritionist. So, I was very interested in science, but I also loved animals, and very quickly, people told me, okay, well, it's a no brainer. You should become a veterinarian. But I moved around a lot as a kid, and when I wanted to go to veterinary medicine in the UK, I found out I had to do a lot of work experience, which is why I thought I would first do a bachelor's in animal science and zoology, and then I would go on to go to veterinary medicine. But during that time, I met an external lecturer that said that a great majority of nutritional disorders that we see today in dogs and cats are actually caused by nutrition. So I actually went to do a master's in Sweden, specialized in nutrition for animal health. And I then completed some other courses, particularly for dogs in raw nutrition. But basically, my goal has basically always to favor animal health and to also look at animals through their biology and through their evolution.
Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you, maybe it's like to speak a little bit further into this topic. Are we feeding dogs for health or for convenience? How has modern feeding like drifted away from what dogs are biologically designed to eat?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, because that's kind of the reality of today. Dogs' ancestors evolved for millions of years consuming whole prey and fresh foods, but because of convenience, we've actually changed their diet with commercial pet food very recently. And when you look at the evolutionary lens, we'll go more into it in the presentation, but essentially we're saying if you compare canine evolution to an entire day, we've only changed their diet in the last second of the day. So I think that changes things a lot. And it's also important to remember that because we keep dogs in our home, it doesn't mean that their biology isn't, different. And that's, I think, something that a lot of people kind of don't really think about. And we've also become very good at formulating to meet nutrient requirements, but complete and balanced is actually a minimum standard. It's not really what's optimal for their health.
Yeah. And dogs are so different. And I have 2 dogs, and they have like really individual health and like how I need to feed them, actually, because one can eat more things than another. And it is like I have heard a lot from people that, yeah, but I'm feeding good food to this dog. Yeah, and this is the commercial food. And yeah, it's written on it that it's really healthy and good and la la la. But every dog is different, and it's not actually what dog was supposed to eat. And for me also, it changed really much my dog behavior when I started to feed them raw, actually, because previously I was feeding this commercial food as well, and they were asking me food, and they were like really anxious all the time. They needed more food and more to go to toilet as well. Yeah. And when I started actually feeding raw, it really changed their behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that impact basically like what they're eating and how they're digesting and how it's impacting their physiology and behavior as well. But it's definitely, it's understanding, for starters, like what exactly, because today, because of, well, a lot of it is also just for us through our human lens, what we've been told. There's a lot of various pressures around this, but it's also, long shelf life, convenient. And so we look at it from a human perspective and not necessarily what the dog's biology is.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people see nutrition as something that just affects them physically. Just, okay, you will eat, you feel healthy, you poop good poops. Yeah. But it is like that. But they doesn't match it together with their emotions, stress resilience, and behavior. And that's what we like behavior specialists are telling, and we are asking, and people come to us and tell us some problem, and we are like, what do your dog eat, and so on. And it gets confusing to people. So I want for you to tell us why it's important to actually look in this dog nutrition as well for dogs' behavior and emotions, not just like physical health.
Yeah. So you've actually identified a really important part, which is what I'll be talking more about in my presentation, which is that nutrition doesn't only impact physical health, it impacts emotional health and behavior. There's now lots of research looking at the microbiome, which is the ecosystem of microbes in the gut that directly impact the nervous system. And without going into detail, which I will do in the presentation, doing is good, so people rather think let's not talk about it. And unfortunately, I specialize in nutrition in prevention, right? Like my goal is to help people feed their dogs to be able to, live longer and not develop disorders, because a lot of dogs, while they're very sensitive, it's not going to show until they get a bit later in life, and then they'll develop pancreatitis or a set of disorders. So prevention is one thing, but it's not just on the physical health, it's also on the emotional health. And that's why, I think with trainers, it's so interconnected, because depending on what you're feeding, you might actually have a nutritional cause to the behavior you're seeing, whether that's, how your dog is handling stress, if they're overreactive. It might actually not at all be something to do with, with the training. It often has a nutritional cause underlying it.
Yeah, it is really important topic, and that's why I really wanted, and I was so happy that you told us that you can and want to join this year in this conference, because these all topics about dogs' health and how it really impact dog behavior and emotions and every stress levels and daily life situations is actually a really big deal, and not a lot of people and specialists are talking about it and not putting it together. So yeah, I'm really happy about it. Of course, in the presentation in conference, you will tell us a lot of things, what we can look into and check in our daily life with our dogs, and how would be better to feed them and so on. But maybe while we are here in this live, maybe you can share like one little tip and thing, like what dog guardians should start paying more attention when it comes to dog feeding for health and their emotional well-being. Something.
Yeah, I think you're back.
Something was,
okay. Yes.
yeah,
No,
something
definitely.
was lost.
One thing that I can say is that I'm not going to bore anyone with loads of science. I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of, is that, when you talk nutrition, there's a lot of lingo as well. And then people are like, okay, I'm actually even more confused than before, which is not at all the goal. The goal for me is to really give practical tips and help, explain how you can see things more with a lot of analogies to really help shift your perspective and help. But one thing that I can definitely share now is that a very small thing that every dog guardian can do to help is to start increasing feeding fresh food, because dogs evolved over, it's kind of an exaggeration to put it that way, but if you do look at the evolution of canids, which is the family that dogs belong to, they evolved for millions of years eating whole prey and fresh food. They're opportunistic carnivores, which I will explain more. But the one thing that we've done since the 1950s with the invention of kibble is that we've actually removed. So kibble on average has 10% moisture, when fresh food will have about 75%.
Yeah.
And so this moisture impacts the body a lot. It's not a whole, it's not a big solution, but it's one thing that you can start doing. But particularly protein, moisture.
Yes. I think it will be so interesting to hear your speech and look more into it. And you already little bit told us about what you will say in your presentation, but maybe we can summer all that up and you can tell why people need to join this conference and need to come and see and listen to us. All of the speakers who are speaking this year at the conference. So, what will you show us? What will you tell us? What the presentation will be about, and what the dog owners and dog specialists, which will come, will take away after your speech?
Yeah, no, I'd be glad to. So essentially, my presentation will be looking at the role of nutrition on emotional health and well-being, whether that's physical or emotional and behavioral well-being. And I will actually try to help give a basic understanding of the nutritional pathways of connection between physical health, emotional health, and basically the gut, which is sort of like the core component of connection between all of those different factors. That's, just guardians, trainers, vets, and really just giving an overview of connecting behavior to nutrition and practical elements of, how can you look at it differently in a practical setting that you can, then think, okay, this will be able to help my clients or even my own dogs, just to make practical changes.
That's so great. That's so great. There was a little interruption of the internet, but I think that we heard main things you were saying. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to your talk and meeting you in person. Thank you very much for coming, and to everybody who's listening this live or recording. I want to remind you that this conference is open to everybody: dog owners, dog specialists in different kind of fields. If you work with dogs any kind of way, this is for you. And if you have dog or you will have a dog, maybe it's good as well to join. So yes. And I want to remind everybody that until the July 13, there are early bird registration pricing. So after the July 13, the registration fee will go a little bit up. So you can now register and join us for the better price. I'm really looking forward to it, meeting everybody in person, all the speakers and all the PDTE board, and as well as every people who will come and join us so we can talk and like different kind of things about dogs. So I think it will be really, really awesome experience for all of us. So thank you very much, Auriane, for joining me today. And thank you everybody else who is listening this live or recording. And if you have some questions, you can ask in comments, but you can also join the conference. I think it will make a lot of sense and it will give you all the answers you need about dogs and dog health and dog behavior and how it is all related one and each other. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Auriane.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.